Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Welcoming members and non-members alike to today's online conversation about one of the most popular topics of the day, the Golden Visa, specifically the Golden Visa to Portugal, touted as the European Union's most affordable Golden Visa program. This is presented in partnership with AVCO Legal, TEPPE, and Golden Visa Consulting. If this is your first time to join us online, allow me to introduce Manila House. We are a private members club that opened in February 2017 with the aim of bringing together an assemblage of people from the business, creative, cultural, and intellectual communities who are drawn to each other by a shared interest to continuously learn about art, culture, food, business, and politics, and from the diversity of their fellow members themselves. It is a community of curious, committed, and caring individuals, and it lives on beyond the physical confines of the club. We began our webinar series in May 2020, covering an encouraging discussion about a range of topical issues, from business and investment to health and wellness, and art and culture. We have featured both local and international speakers and continue to broaden our reach among members and non-members alike. Our previous webinars are available for viewing on the Manila House YouTube channel. That said, for the non-members among us, you might like to consider membership to Manila House. We have a limited number of memberships still available. Please email membership@manilahouseinc.com for more information. Before we begin, just a few ground rules. This event is being recorded and live streamed and will be up on the Manila House YouTube channel in a day or two. Please use the chat box and the Q&A box for any questions and comments, and we'll get to your questions as we go along. Thank you. In a world of growing instability, more and more people are starting to regard second passports and residencies as a good investment. Many countries are open to what is known as a Golden Visa scheme, subject to an investment in property. Portugal's Golden Visa scheme is particularly accessible, and it's no wonder that it's so popular among Filipinos. Here to tell us more are a team of experienced advisors who will take care of everything you need should you decide to apply for this visa program, from the properties you might want to invest in to the legal processes involved. So let me introduce them to you. RC, may I just cue you, please? Joining us today, Alfredo Roca, who's a real estate advisor with Golden Visa Consulting. A veteran of more than 20 years of living in Asia, most of them spent in the Philippines, where he developed a successful professional career in the hospitality business. Alfredo Roca was a former president of the Spanish Chamber of Commerce in the Philippines and an active member of the Spanish Filipino community. He is a passionate defender and promoter of the Spanish heritage throughout the world. Next up, joining us, is Antonio Viñal, who's a partner with AVCO Legal. He is a Spanish lawyer admitted to the bars of Spain and Portugal in business administration. He is one of the partners at AVCO Legal, a Spanish law firm with offices in. This firm has extensive expertise in the real estate, tourism, hospitality industries, as well as with tax and immigration issues. And finally, joining us today from Lisbon is Hugo Lima from TEPPE. Next slide, please. Next slide. Sorry about those technical issues. Let me introduce Hugo to you. He is a partner at TEPPE, a group of companies that operates in the investment sector, real estate development, engineering and construction, asset management, and hospitality. With a senior and multidisciplinary team and with relevant experience in real estate development and construction projects, TEPPE integrates the valences needed for the materialization of projects with high quality standards, allowing customers from their various business areas to obtain all the solutions for their needs. And with that, let me turn you over to Alfredo, who I hope is not having technical issues with this internet like I am today. I'm going to turn off my video for now, and Alfredo,
Good afternoon, Bambina. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your kind words. Thank you to you and to your team for organizing this event, and especially I will want to welcome to all the participants for to be part of this event this afternoon. Good afternoon, Manila. Bon dia, Portugal. Why Portugal? It's the most welcoming country for expats, the third most peaceful country in Europe, in the world, best retirement destination, 10 years no habitual tax regimen exceptions, 12 best public healthcare system, 16 best education system. Portugal Golden Visa started in 2012 and over 10,000 approved Golden Visa applicants. First citizen granted in 2018 without applicants living in Portugal. Any non-European citizens can apply, can include spouse, dependents, children, and dependent parents. Golden Visa Consulting are partnerships with real estate developers, law firms, health insurance companies, interior designers, decorators, lease property management, relocations companies, or international schools will make your first experience in Portugal and Spain even more enjoyable. We offer full assistance in Portugal and in Spain. Our team possesses a combined experience in tie-up management consultancy, government relations, dual citizens law, and real estate investments in Portugal or also in Spain. Our highly qualified professionals work together in one of the team. I would like to now to pass the floor to Antonio Viñal. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alfredo. Thank you for your kind introduction. And I will start now regarding the technical or legal aspects of the Portuguese Golden Visa Program. What are the main benefits and how you can take advantage of said benefits for yourself and for your family as well. So I will be discussing 4 main points today: property immigration, taxes, as well as citizenship. So without further ado, I'll start right now by saying, well, from a property perspective, Portugal, of course, is part of the EU, part of the Eurozone, part of Schengen, definitely one of the most hot property markets today. And when you buy a property in Portugal, we're looking at freehold properties. So these properties are for yours to keep in perpetuity, to enjoy, and there are no restrictions for foreign investors, either when buying or selling property later on. In terms of procedures, it is well, very straightforward. Of course, any potential buyer would need to obtain a Portuguese tax number first, open a bank account, a local bank account, and you can sign a promissory sale and purchase agreement right at the beginning. If you need time, or both parties might need time before the deed takes place, or you can go straight to deed. The deed is the title of ownership. It's the contract of sale. It is drawn up by a local notary. And then this deed is filed both with the land registry and the tax office. So eventually there will be a certificate also showing that you are the legal owner of the property. In terms of hotspots, I would point out Lisbon, of course, the Cascais and Estoril, which is about 30 kilometers away on the seafront from Lisbon. the whole Douro region, of course, including the city of Porto, and down south in the Algarve. These are definitely favored locations for property buyers. In terms of possible property investments, we're looking at holiday homes, residential apartments. For the more adventurous, perhaps vineyards and olive groves, also buildings for refurbishment, commercial property, and hotels or participations in hotels. Who's investing as far as non-EU buyers might respect? We're looking at, of course, mainland China, Latin America, most notably Brazilian buyers, Russia, Lebanon, South Africa, India, but also I would say there is a growing or burgeoning amount of buyers coming from the Philippines as well. So of course, if you decide to buy, you will not be alone in this venture. In terms of banking options, well, a tax number, of course, is mandatory. As I mentioned, you would need to open a bank account with a local bank. Loan conditions, of course, we're looking at Euribor is generally the rate, the base rate plus a spread, 12 months. And this of course, this is June 3rd information. So things have risen, or interest rates have risen since then. And nevertheless, well, there is still a very active market in terms of spread options. So the most best spreads that you might find are under 1%. Nevertheless, and because this, of course, is a Golden Visa webinar, we have to point out that financing for Golden Visa purposes is only up and above the minimum mandatory thresholds. When buying a property, we need to be aware of transfer tax. So in Portugal's case, residential property is on a sliding scale between 0 to 8%. So this depends on the actual price of the property. And if we're looking at commercial, this is fixed at 6.5%. In terms of other taxes, wealth tax, there is no wealth tax in Portugal, and there is also no gift and inheritance tax, something I'm sure you'll be glad to know. In terms of immigration, and moving forward with the second part of my presentation, the Golden Visa Program, of course, is a fast-track program designed to attract investors into Portugal. And in terms of the application conditions, as you can see on screen right now, I would like to direct your attention to letter letters E and letters F, the last two paragraphs, letters E and F. So initially, for real estate purposes, any kind of property anywhere in Portugal, 500,000 euro. As mentioned just now, the first 500,000 must be free of any encumbrances. And then there's another option, nevertheless, which lowers the threshold to 350,000. And that is if you put money in the purchase of the property, but you're also putting money in refurbishment. So the cost of the property and the cost of the refurbishment should reach a minimum of 350,000 euro. It cannot be any kind of property. It has to be at least finished 30 years ago or located in urban renewal areas as defined by the council. So this would kind of summarize the whole situation, because as of January 1st, 2022, when the new rules were implemented, residential property is not an option any longer in Lisbon, Porto, Algarve, and I would say a large part of the coast. So if you would like to still invest in Lisbon, Porto, Algarve, we would have to look at commercial property. And again, commercial property, we would think of retail office, retail shops. We would look at hotel units and touristic apartments. So these four would definitely still qualify. The good thing is that in the interior areas of Portugal, and you get a 20% discount. So the 350,000 euro option becomes 280,000 option. Okay, so as you can see on the last rung, 30 years old and refurbished and in low density areas or low density population areas. So I think this map explains the story much better. If we look at the map on the right, the green shaded map, in the green areas, you can only buy, in the green areas, you can buy residential and commercial. Okay, so of course, in the white areas, and this includes Lisbon, this includes Porto, that's restricted to commercial. Okay, so once again, green areas, residential and commercial. If we look at the map on the left, the pink shaded areas, then that's where you get the 20% discount. Those are the low density areas, or less populated areas in Portugal. So once again, the pink shaded areas, that's where you get the 20% discount. The 500,000 option becomes 400,000 and the 350 becomes 280. Now, one of the great benefits of the Golden Visa program is that it allows to onboard family members. And this would include, of course, your spouse, partner, children under legal age, but also children above legal age, as long as they're single and financially dependent. So obviously a very good way to prove that they're financially dependent is to show that they're still studying. Then we can also reunify or onboard the sponsors or the spouse's parents if they are financially dependent. So if they're 65 and above, it's almost, I mean, it's a given. There's no really extra proof that we would need. If they're, however, below 65, then we need to show evidence that they are indeed financially dependent on the sponsor. Okay, and only younger siblings in the case of which might be under sponsor's custody. And that is the extent of family members that can be reunified within this program. So the visa itself, and incidentally, the term Golden Visa is just, I believe, more of a catchy name, because what you get is actually a temporary residency card. And the first temporary residency card is good for 2 years, and then you renew each card for an additional 2 years. And this happens twice. So it's 2 + 2 + 2. So first card and then 2 renewals. Do I need to physically stay in Portugal? Only for 14 days in every 2-year period. Okay, and this is to maintain your card and renew it. In terms of taxation, do we become a tax resident in Portugal by being a Golden Visa holder? No, we do not. There are 2 very straightforward criteria that would determine if you become or you don't become a tax resident in Portugal. So if you stay for more than 183 days in Portugal, then you do become a tax resident. Or if you possess property in Portugal, which is supposed or presumed to be your main place of residence, then you would also be considered a tax resident. So again, if you don't want to be a tax resident in Portugal, this is very easy, because you only need to spend 14 days every 2 years. Nevertheless, should you choose to become a tax resident in Portugal, you can apply for a separate program, which is the non-habitual resident program. And this contains a number of tax benefits, including for Portuguese sourced income, like your salaried income or income from your work as a contractor. Then you would only be charged 20%, a flat fee of 20% on that income. Then on most forms of foreign income, and this includes all capital gains from property, it includes dividends, it includes real estate income and so forth, most of it is exempt, totally exempt. And there's just one caveat for pensions, and which carries a small charge of 10% on foreign pensions. And you can become a non-habitual resident for 10 years. And the only requirement is not to have been a Portuguese tax resident over the past 5 years. So think of this as a bonus, okay? Golden Visa, you are not a tax resident. Should you choose to be and become a tax resident, then you can also apply for the non-habitual resident program and add on all these tax benefits to your stay. In terms of salaried income, you would also have to qualify as one of the highly skilled professionals. And this, again, this is still from a purely tax perspective. And also, if you will be making income on your property, which you can do, as mentioned earlier, then as a non-resident, you would be charged 28%. This is for long-term lease. For short-term lease, and this equates to Airbnb style of leasing property, then the rate could be lower, 12.5%. And capital gains, once you decide to sell a property, if you make a profit, the capital gain tax is 28% for non-residents. Nevertheless, you can also deduct a number of taxes, such as transfer tax. You can also deduct any money spent with real estate agents that might be charged with selling your property. You can also deduct notary fees and registration fees. So there is still quite a bit that would allow you to lower the tax bill. In terms of citizenship, can I apply for citizenship? Yes, you can. And from a Portuguese perspective, you just need to be a valid card holder for 5 years. And then you apply and you get full dual citizenship. So there's no restriction in terms of what is your nationality of origin. From a Portuguese perspective, there is full acceptance and no restriction whatsoever. So what are the benefits of actually becoming a Portuguese citizen? Well, of course, full freedom of movement in the Schengen area. So let's say if you're a Portuguese citizen and you want to move to France or want to move to Spain, then you just need to relocate and register as an EU citizen. So there is no real immigration formality, immigration procedure. It's just a very simple registration as an EU citizen. So you can live, work, study in any EU country. Your children can benefit from lower university fees. There is no minimum stay requirement to maintain citizenship. The family reunification becomes easier, and there is no tax attached, meaning the fact that you become a Portuguese citizen does not mean that you will be a tax resident, does not mean that you will have to pay Portuguese taxes. You can still live in the Philippines or in your country of choice, and that does not mean that you will be paying worldwide tax in Portugal. If you still make money on your property, then of course you will definitely pay Portuguese tax on that income from your rental. So, of course, if you're a Portuguese citizen, you will not be considered a tax resident in Portugal. Must I take an exam? Well, to become a Portuguese citizen, you must pass a very simple A2 level test. There are 3 levels in the Common European Framework of Languages, A, B, and C. Each level has 3 sub-levels, 1, 2, 3. So the easiest level is A1, the hardest level is C3. Okay, so an A2 is still very, very basic Portuguese. You do not need a great understanding of the language. So to sum things up, this is a bit of a timeline that we've prepared here for you. And so you can see in years 1 we would kick things off by looking for your qualified investment and making sure that we have all the necessary documents to submit your application. Then once your Golden Visa is approved, then the card is issued and is valid for 2 years. Just after year 2, we would start with the renewal. Again, renewal for another extra 2 years. And just after year 4, we would finalize the whole process, at least from a Golden Visa perspective, with the last renewal. And that's, again, valid for another 2 years. And then for year 5, at that point in time, you can apply either for permanent residency or citizenship. Although, of course, citizenship is the one that carries all the benefits, as we've just seen. And then your passport would be granted afterwards. And you are already a Portuguese citizen, and then, of course, enjoying all the full benefits that come with that status. So that's all for me right now. Thank you very much for your kind patience and attention. And we will, of course, I will be happy to take any questions after the presentation. For now, it's my great pleasure to introduce Hugo Lima from TEPPE that will walk you through some of the projects that TEPPE has developed and that they are offering for Golden Visa investors. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Antonio. Good afternoon, everyone. TEPPE, we are a real estate development company based in Porto. We have also a construction company within our group and an hospitality management company. We have been developing both residential projects targeting the local markets and also commercial property, service apartment buildings, touristic apartment buildings, and hotels, targeting the immigration by investment market or the Golden Visa markets. The project we'll be featuring now, it's one that we are currently launching, which is T Hotel. T Hotel, it's a 85-room 4-star hotel in Porto city center. Our value proposition in all our developments is based on freehold property, meaning that the investors, they will have full ownership and a title deed on their acquisition. The reason why we have provided freehold and the reason why we are developing freehold and not co-investment or co-ownership schemes is to provide liquidity to the investors. If they want to sell or disinvest at any point in time, in our understanding, that would be a more liquid solution than co-investment or co-ownership. Just to give you a brief scope of Porto, Porto is the second city of Portugal. It's the capital of the north. Has been awarded recently by the World Travel Awards as the world leading city destination. Tourism in Porto has been increasing over the past few years. 2019 was a record-breaking year for tourism in Porto. 2022 has been so far better than 2019, and the sector is expecting another record for this year. Porto has an international airport which is connecting New York and Dubai in 7 hours, London and Paris in 2. It's a very active business environment. The municipality has been able to attract a lot of companies, especially in the IT sector. What these companies are saying is that the quality of the workforce here, it's very good, and it's quite easier for them to bring the expats here rather than bring the workforce to other European countries regarding the cost of living and the quality of life. Next slide, please, Antonio. So as I was saying, this is the T Hotel. It's 85-room, a Golden Visa eligible investment in Porto city center. We are selling 1 room per investor. We'll be onboarding 85 investors in this development, and the value proposition that we have here, the project is eligible for the 350,000 euros investment amount, and we will be guaranteeing a 5% return on investment during the first 5 years of operation. But we will be paying this 5% return during the first 5 years up front. So when you do the 350,000 euros investments, we will be paying you 87,500 corresponding to this 5% return to the corresponding to the first 5 years of operation. Then from year 6 onwards, after the guaranteed rental income, there will be a split of 70%, a split on the profitability of 70% for the investors and 30% for TEPPE. So the profit that will be generated by the hotel after the 5th year will be split on a 70% basis for the investors and 30% for TEPPE. Also, we have an exit strategy in this project, meaning that also from the 6th year of operations, that should be the 8th year of your investment, we will be putting the asset on the market on a structured sale process. So we will be working with one of the big 4 consulting companies in Portugal, and we will be able to sell the asset if we manage to get offers of more than 350,000 euros per room. If not, the asset will be kept, or the hotel will be kept in operations, and we will continue to split the profit on a 70% basis for the investors and 30% for TEPPE. And if we manage to get offers of more than 350,000 euros, there will be a split on the sale or on the profit. And the positive difference between the 350,000 euros and the effective sale price will be split on a 50% for the investor and 50% for TEPPE. We do also include in the investment, without any other cost, a 7-day stay per year in the property, which is one of the requisites for you to keep the Golden Visa application valid. The asset will be also operated by an international brand that will be appointed until December 10. And next slide, please. This is one of the lowest, if not the lowest, Golden Visa investments in Porto city center. As Antonio mentioned before, the areas or the markets that are quite out, I would say liquidity exists in Porto, Lisbon, and the Algarve region. So investment-wise, I would say this will be the preferred or this they have been the preferred investment locations here in Portugal, and this is an investment with a guaranteed return during the first 5 years, and also with a potential upsale after the 6th year of operations. Next slide, please. So operations, we will be starting construction in the first quarter of 2023. Completion is scheduled for December 2024, and the operations are foreseen to start in the first quarter of 2025. We also have a property valuation of the asset of considering the completion of 30 million euros, which is valuing each room at around 352,000 euros. Location-wise, next slide, please. This is a map of Porto city center. The asset is located nearby the Crystal Palace, which is an event center and a concert hall here in Porto. It's also 12 minutes walking distance from Clérigos Tower, which is a very well-known monument here in the country, which is in the heart of the city, which is really in the city center. It's roughly a 20-minute walking distance to the river. There is currently a new metro line which is under construction that will connect the Casa da Música metro station to São Bento metro station, and there will be 2 new stations nearby the asset, one of them in Galiza Square and the other one in Carregal Garden. And Carregal Garden, it's only 450 meters from the property, which is roughly a 6-minute walking distance. So It's a very central location, very demanded in terms of tourism, and with a potential, in our perspective, with a potential capital appreciation in the future. This new pink line, which is the new metro line that is currently under construction, will be operating also in the first quarter of 2025. Which is at the same point in time when we will be opening and starting operating the hotel. So there is a potential appreciation on the area, on the surroundings, and also on the asset. We have some renderings here of the rooms, of the internal patios with the gardens. The asset has 3 different blocks. It's facing 2 streets, two different streets. Yes, next slide, please, Antonio. So we've talked about Porto. We've talked already about TEPPE. We can move forward, Antonio. As I said before, our main business is real estate development. We have also a construction company within our group, and we have an hospitality management company. Next slide, please. These are some of the projects that we have already launched, and they are all sold out, except from the 19 villas that will be launched in 2023. All the others, they are sold out and they are under construction currently. Regarding the process, I think Antonio explained already, so I won't bother you with this, and you explained into more detail, so we can move forward, Antonio. And I will be happy to answer all the questions you may have regarding this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alfredo, Hugo, and Antonio. Do we have any questions from the audience? Antonio, I just wanted to ask a question that I hear other people ask all the time. I know you mentioned it a little bit earlier about the test that applicants have to take. And everybody says it's not hard, but then there are people that say it's quite difficult. I understand it's any one person in the family can take it, right? You can to take it. But realistically speaking, how difficult is it?
Well, let me put it this way. If applicants who come from mainland China can pass, and most of them don't speak English, then of course I would say it would be safe to say that people from the Philippines would have definitely no trouble. Of course, not only do English and Portuguese share a significant percentage of vocabulary from Latin, but of course Portuguese and Spanish are also very closely related. So there are definitely a few hundred words in Portuguese that you will be able to recognize without any difficulty. So that is something to put, any fears or concerns to rest. I would say that should not be a worry or a concern to any potential applicant. We've had clients taking this test and with very good results. So definitely nothing to be worried about.
Okay, that's a relief. Unless the passing rate is quite, generous, maybe.
No, but again, this is not something. I mean, the idea of a test is always pretty daunting. Nevertheless, you can also take a course and be validated, by the end of it, with your required level of comprehension in Portuguese language. The only thing you need to ensure is that whichever university or language school you go to is properly certified, and your certificate will be valid for this purpose. Yes.
Okay, great. I'll ask you one more question, and I think we have to turn to Hugo because there are quite a few questions that Hugo needs to address. But about the GB program, is there rumors that it's closing soon, or is it dependent on the regime or the democratically elected government, I should say, that comes in? How have governments treated this program?
Well, just to give everyone a background on the program itself, it was created in 2012 and has been working uninterruptedly since then. The only major amendment to the program was introduced in January 2022. That's when the restriction of the residential areas, which I mentioned during my presentation, was introduced. The rumors were started on the potential closing of the program when the Portuguese Prime Minister a few weeks ago mentioned it during the Web Summit that the program was being considered for revision and that it might have fulfilled all the goals that it was set out to accomplish. And this, of course, created a stir of controversy. And nevertheless, I'm happy to say that in just last week, now that the state budget is being negotiated and voted, there was a proposition proposal from the Communist Party that addressed the cancellation of the Golden Visa Program, and this proposal has been rejected. Okay, so for the time being, and just to dispel any fears and concerns regarding the continuance of the Golden Visa Program, for the time being, I mean, there's no changes in the status quo. Nevertheless, should that come to pass in any future moment, as long as the application has been submitted, there would be no retroactive element in the potential cancellation. So if anyone is thinking about onboarding and if they have more or less a clear mind that they would like to proceed, I would definitely recommend to go ahead with it and well, simply become part of that ever-growing community of Golden Visa holders.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's very reassuring. Hugo, I think there are a couple of questions here for you about the hotel. About would you be able to pay the 350,000 euros, upfront, or are there financing terms available? Or maybe Antonio, this could also be a question for you. How does one go about it if one would like to, to purchase through the hotel?
Yeah, maybe I can answer what would be the standard payment conditions for the investment, and that would be 4 different installments of 50% on the promissory sale and purchase agreement, then 3 more installments of 15, 10, 10 every 3 months, and 50% at the deal. But if you want to start your application as soon as possible, one of the conditions is that you prove that you made the investment. So the 350,000 euros must be paid so you can start your application. So if you want to start the application today, you must pay the 350 in order to be able to start the application. Regarding the financing, the Portuguese government does not allow you to mortgage your investments, although you can finance overseas, but you have to transfer 350,000 euros from your foreign account to your Portuguese bank account, and you cannot mortgage your acquisition year to finance your investments.
That is absolutely correct. And just to add that the Portuguese bank will be issuing a certificate of investment or a statement that will confirm, or has to confirm, that amount, 350,000 euro in this case, has effectively been transferred from a foreign bank account to the applicant's Portuguese bank account. And this document will be part of the application itself. So again, very important that that money is effectively remitted into the Portuguese bank account.
Yes. There is another one, which is
To recap,
what are the
your
other
account at one point during the process. Sorry.
Sorry, Mami.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, at what point in the application process are you able to open a bank account in Portugal?
Well, that would be right after obtaining the tax number, because the Portuguese tax number is a requirement to open a bank account. So essentially very early on in the process, because without the bank account, the rest cannot, all the other formalities cannot be completed.
Yeah. Okay. And sorry, Hugo, you were saying something about the other charges.
I was reading the next one, which is what are other charges beyond the investment cost, at least approximate. So the investment, the 350,000 euros, they are divided on a 250,000 euros acquisition of the property and 100,000 euros for the rehabilitation works or the construction works. And the 250,000 euros, they are eligible for a 6.5% property transfer tax and also 0.8% stamp tax. And the construction works, the 100,000 euros construction works, they are eligible for a 6% VAT. So this would give something around 24,250,000 euros on taxes. Then you have, of course, lawyer fees, registration and notary costs. And there are also the taxes that have to be paid to the Portuguese Foreign Office Ministry on the application and on the renewals.
Okay. And then there were a couple of other questions. Let me just, if you don't mind, recapping, Hugo, about someone asking about how many more units are available for the T Hotel. How many units were in total? You said 77 currently available. If you want to just revisit that.
Yeah, the hotel has 85 units. We launched the project last week and we have still 77 available. Yeah, so we have already 8 committed. And we have 77 available.
And construction begins?
Yes, the construction begins in the first quarter of 2023 and completion is scheduled for December 2024. So the operations, the hotel will be starting operating in the first quarter of 2025. And there was a question also, the 5-year of the 5% guaranteed rental income, it starts to count in the first quarter of 2025, although we will be paying it upfront. So and the applications can start at any point in time. They can be submitted at any point in time because they can. We can sign the promissory sale and purchase agreement during construction, and the investors, they can start the application whenever they want.
Okay. And so, Antonio, correct me if I'm wrong, among the early steps you have to take is to really identify the property you'd like to invest in. That kind of goes with your application, right?
Well, essentially, yes, because you need to
make that investment.
Exactly. So whichever investment that is, if it's a little lower, a little higher, whatever amount of money you need to put in, you would need to at least be aware of what that that investment will represent, so that you can put together your whatever is necessary.
Yeah, and then you both mentioned that in Lisbon and Porto and Algarve, there are no more residential properties that you can invest in, right? They're all commercial now. So,
yes.
And you mentioned retail, like retail stores and all that. And there was a question here whether what else counts as commercial. such as a vineyard, would that be considered commercial?
Would that be considered commercial? No, because that's real estate. That's land. Although it could be part of a commercial venture, let's say if you decide to, and there are of course vineyards that are geared towards the production of wine, but essentially we're looking at office space, retail shops, hotel units such as the one Hugo is presenting, also logistics. Logistics units and areas, as well as touristic apartments. So all of that would qualify. The vineyard can eventually qualify. Then we need to separate the land itself from perhaps other constructions within that estate. And for instance, because a lot of those constructions could be residential. Nevertheless, the wine country, you would find it more to the interior, so the areas where residential still qualifies. So yes, real estate vineyards could be eligible for a golden visa purpose.
Okay. And can I ask? I lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. When you said touristic apartments, that means apartments that are purchased for the sole purpose of renting out to tourists. How do you ascertain that?
Yes,
as opposed to residential apartments.
Well, the touristic apartments are specific projects approved by the Portuguese Board of Tourism, and the purpose of which is to accommodate short-term stays. So although it essentially works like a hotel, but so you cannot really live in your touristic apartment if you catch my drift. And I know that that TEPPE has also that kind of product, so perhaps Hugo would like to elaborate a little more on that one.
Yeah, there are specific requirements for the licensing, both for touristic apartments and serviced apartments. So you have to comply with specific regulation to license them within the municipality, and they will be licensed as serviced apartments or touristic apartments, which are different from residential. And then they are eligible for short to medium term stays. And you also have to get the approval from the Portuguese tourism office. Yeah.
Okay. Hugo, maybe you've answered this. You've written out your answer, but it might be useful for other attendees to just distinguish what freehold means. Does that mean that the owner would have separate title over the hotel unit and can sell it independently of any other hotel unit? And when can such a freehold unit be sold?
Yes, so freehold means that freehold means that the investor will have full ownership and the title deed on their acquisition. So the hotel will have an horizontal property registered, and we will have 85 different units. 85 autonomous units. So, and each owner will have full ownership on their acquisition. Yes, they can sell it as a freehold. They can sell it at any point in time, even after year 1 or year 2. If they, for example, decide not to move forward or not to continue with their golden visa application, they can sell it at any point in time.
Great, thanks so much. Okay, let's just go to other questions here. Is it safe to say that 400,000 euros, 350,000 for the hotel, say, and 50,000 for the other fees, is that the amount one would need to apply for the golden visa? Would that be sufficient? Antonio, perhaps you could answer this.
Well, again, I think it has to do very much with the characteristics of the project. For instance, in some projects, VAT for construction might be included, and others it might actually be a necessary expense. Then, of course, we have the transfer tax and stamp duty. Also, I would like to add that there are government fees or government charges, okay, over the 5-year period. And just to give you an idea, these charges per person over the 3 cards, so the 2 + 2 + 2, 3 cards altogether, this would amount to about 12,000 per person. So just in the first year or the first card, the processing fee is 539.66, and that is per person, and the issuance of the card is 5,391.60, if I'm not mistaken. That's the first card. And then for the renewals, so second cards number 2 and 3, you will also paying a processing fee of 539.66, and then the issuing card is half, so it's about 2,600 euro again per person. So if you add everything up over the course of 5 years, then it would amount to roughly above 12,000 per person. Now, the good thing with a lot of these projects, just like TEPPE's project, the one we've seen today, is that you're getting income on your investment, and in this case, even from day one. So you're already, making a profit from the investment, and profit that can be used towards paying some of these expenses.
Great. Thank you so much, Antonio. Just a clarification being requested by somebody. Only one member of the family needs to pass the language test, and the rest will qualify for citizenship. And the second question is, can one pass an accredited course in lieu of the exam? Just a bit of clarification.
Sure.
I know we touched on this earlier.
Okay, so any person of legal age, and so it might be a child above legal age, it might be a parent, etc., will need to take the exam. Okay, so it's not one person takes the exam and then the whole family is exempt from taking it. That would be fantastic, but that is not the case, unless, of course, there is some serious impediment or challenge that would not allow one of the applicants. When I say applicant, it might be the main applicant or family members. So that would not allow them to take the exam. And obviously this would have to be proven. But other than that, yes, any family member above legal age would need to take the exam. And then with the accredited course, yes, well, usually these courses will eventually have a final exam. So if the idea of taking, one step at a time and going through all the different stages and working one's way up until reaching the desired level seems, as I mentioned, less daunting. Yes, of course, that is perfectly possible, as long as, rightly so, it is from an accredited institution.
Okay, thanks. I hope that makes it clear. The other question that I saw earlier is, would there be areas in your pilgrimage sites that could be considered for, investment, property investment, so that counts towards the golden visa?
Well, I think the question specifically mentions the Fatima
and Santarem.
Yeah. That area, if we would go back to the map I showed earlier in the presentation, that whole strip from Porto to Lisbon on the coast, or most of the coast, that is only reserved for commercial property. Okay, so if you decide to buy in the Santarém or Fatima area, that would not qualify in terms of residential. Okay, you can still purchase any other type of property, commercial property, the ones we've been discussing so far. That would be perfect, but nevertheless not residential for this purpose. Otherwise, up north in northern Portugal, which is closer to Santiago, and of course a lot of Filipinos have done the Camino de Santiago.
Camino,
Yeah, that's a little closer. But of course we have to stay within Portugal, not Spain for this particular purpose.
Great. And one more, I think we'll take one more question before we close. Could you clarify the breakdown and timeline of the 5% upfront payment for the investment? You had a timeline earlier, but maybe just where does this fit in?
Yes, if you allow me, I'll share my screen, which I think it's easier to answer. So here we have the investment cost breakdown. Actually, what we will be paying to the developer as an investor as an investment, it's the 350,000 euros that will be divided on 250,000 euros property acquisition and 100,000 euros on construction works. Then the taxes that will be applied over these 250 and over this 100 is 6.5%. Times 250,000 euros will give you 16,250 on property transfer tax, which is the IMT, and you will also be eligible to pay a 0.8% of stamp tax that is applied over the 250,000 euros as well. So you will be entitled to pay an additional 2,000 euros as stamp tax. And also over the construction works, the 100,000 construction works agreement, you have to pay 6% VAT, so another 6,000 euros. So then the total taxes will be 24,250, and you will be receiving that there will be lawyer and notary costs, and then you will be receiving upfront 87,500 that deducted from the 28% income tax will give you a net 63,000 euros. So then, as Antonio said, and please do not take this in consideration because they were revised and there are slightly differences. I think instead of 537, it's 539. So please don't consider these taxes to be paid to the Portuguese Foreign Office Ministry. They have been slightly revised, but this is what you will have as an investment without the taxes. In terms of timeline, when you decide to start the application, you have to pay the 350, and 1 month after we will be returning you 87,500 that you will be eligible to pay the 28% income tax. And these taxes here, the property transfer tax and the stamp tax, they are only due when you sign the deed. So it will be in the first quarter of 2025. The 6% VAT has to be paid when you do the 350,000 euros investment. So when you are paying the 100,000 euros construction works, you will be entitled to pay the 6,000 euros VAT.
Okay. Thanks, Hugo. One more before we close. How many projects of this nature has TEPPE done and successfully closed?
The first ones we launched, we adapted and created these projects regarding the change that happened in the regulation in the end of 2021. So the first ones we started by the end of 2022 doing acquisitions and designing these specific products to comply within the regulations that entered into force in January 2022. So the first ones, they are under construction currently, which is Taramel, Tarapa, Travessa, and we will be delivering them and completing by December 2023. So end of next year, we will be completing 3 projects that we launched and started construction in 2022.
And all units sold for those 3 projects?
Yes.
All the units have been sold. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I'd like to bring Alfredo back in. Alfredo, are you there? Just
Yes.
wanted to ask you just
Thank
you
you
to all of you, Hugo, Antonio, and Alfredo for joining us today. Thank you for everyone who tuned in. I think there's been it's an ongoing topic that everybody seems to be interested in, and we seem to keep getting better and better properties as well coming on the market. So it's, even for me, it's very exciting to see what's being offered.
Yeah,
Even
thank
if
you,
I personally
Vampina.
am not doing. But thank you,
Yeah, if
Alfredo.
may I say, if may I say one
Yes.
thing, will be emailed to all the participants all the information about
Yes.
the project, and
Yeah.
more
Yes.
questions, you
And
know,
you can,
Antonio Viñal
yes,
and also the Golden our project. Yes,
you can
we'll
either
answer everything.
email
Don't worry.
us. Yeah, you can
Yeah,
email us at
very
Manila House. You can email events at manilahouseInc.com, or Alfredo, what email should we use to get in touch with you for any
for
inquiries?
the one for the Golden Visa Consulting. Yeah,
Yeah, is at info
don't
at
worry. Yeah, yeah, very good.
goldenvisaconsulting.com. And Alfredo, you've also been open to meeting people in Spain or Portugal or any of the properties that you
Correct, because
represent,
I will be in
and
I
showing
will,
them around, right?
yes, that's right. I'm in Manila until December 12th. If any of them want to meet, we'll love to meet them also and to present the project. Yes.
Okay,
And
so
also to take care of them in Europe and Spain.
yes, so if you'd like to discuss some properties ahead of time, ahead of your visit, perhaps with Alfredo, please email him at info@goldenvisaconsulting.com. And again, this talk will be on YouTube in a day or so. And we'll also, you can get in touch with us if you'd like a copy of the presentation. We'd be happy to share it with you. And any other questions, again, please contact us at Manila House or Alfredo. And with that, we hope to see you with our next event. So thank you for joining us today. Thank you for sharing your afternoon with us, and we hope to see you soon. Obrigado.
Obrigado. Thank you.
Thank you. Gracias.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Okay. Take care, everyone. Bye.